Let's talk about buying a new Windows laptop. It's getting pretty expensive out there, right? We're going to dive into a smart way to think about your next purchase that might just save you a whole lot of cash and maybe even get you a better machine. So let me just ask you this, straight up. Are you overpaying for new? It's a question we all have to ask ourselves when we see those shiny new models hitting the shelves with price tags that just keep climbing higher and higher. And that's the real problem, isn't it? On one hand, your wallet is telling you things are getting expensive, but on the other, you've got this constant marketing message being blasted at you, latest is greatest, you have to get the new one. But do you really? Okay, let's first just dig into the price of new, because this isn't just in your head. Prices for a lot of the most popular laptops are genuinely going up, and it's putting a lot of us in a tough spot. And we're not talking about small jumps here. Take this number, for example. This comes from a real-world comment about a popular gaming laptop, the Nitro V. It apparently shot up from 25 million VND to 30 million. That's a massive 20% increase in just a few months. That's a big deal for anybody's budget. And believe me, people are noticing. This comment right here just nails the frustration perfectly. People are seeing these crazy skyrocketing prices on new models, but when they look at the specs, they're barely any better than last year's. Something doesn't add up. So what do you do? Well, this leads us to a really powerful idea, something we're calling the smart look-back strategy. It's all about how buying a laptop that's just a little bit older might actually be the smartest move you can make. And here's the big secret, the thing the marketers don't want you to focus on. For most of the stuff we do every day, browsing the web, working on documents, watching Netflix, the actual real-world performance difference between a brand new chip and one from a year or two ago is, well, it's basically nothing. You'd never notice. I mean, look at the numbers. The performance bump you get from one generation to the next is often only about 10 to 15%. Now, that looks nice on a chart, for sure, but in the real world, you would be seriously hard-pressed to actually feel that difference when you're just trying to get things done. Okay, so this brings us to what is probably the single most important trade-off to think about when you're considering an older model. It's this constant battle between performance and battery life. And this is where things get really interesting. See, you might give up that tiny slice of performance you'd probably never notice anyway, but what you can gain is huge. Because the biggest leaps in laptop tech recently haven't been in raw speed, but in how efficiently they use power. So let me be clear. If all day I never want to see my charger battery life is your absolute #1 priority, then yeah, you should be looking at the newest chips. Specifically, these new chip families have made some absolutely massive gains in power efficiency. This is the one area where latest really can be greatest. But, a laptop is so much more than just the processor inside it. We need to talk about the parts of the machine you actually see and touch every single day you use it, because that's what really shapes your experience. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. It's just so simple and so true. It basically says that using a machine you don't like is just suffering. And it is. At the end of the day, if you don't enjoy using your laptop, who cares what the specs are? The experience is what matters. Let me give you a perfect real-world example of this. The newer ZenBook came with a pretty standard full HD screen, but the model from the year before, with a slightly older chip, had this absolutely stunning high-resolution OLED display. So which one do you think is a better machine to use every day? It's not even close. So the real takeaway here is this. Focus your budget on these things. A beautiful screen, plenty of RAM, seriously, 16 gigs is the minimum these days, and 32 is really the sweet spot, plus a keyboard and trackpad that feel great to use. These things will make you happier than a tiny theoretical boost in processor speed ever could. All right, let's pull this all together. Let's build a smart buyer's checklist. This is how you go from being confused and overwhelmed to actually buying your next laptop with total confidence. First, a quick public service announcement. You have to watch out for something called a chip refresh. This is when a company takes an older chip, rebrands it as new, and puts it in a new laptop. Sometimes this new chip can actually be weaker than a top-tier chip from the year before. The lesson? Don't just trust the model year. Always look up reviews for the specific processor in the machine. And here it is, your 5-step game plan. 1, figure out what you actually do with your computer, not just what specs sound cool. 2, look at models from the last year or two. 3, put your money into the things you interact with, the screen, the RAM, the build quality. 4, Check independent reviews for real-world battery life. And 5, the most important, choose a machine that gives you the best overall experience. So that's really the question it all comes down to, isn't it? The next time you go to buy a laptop, what's going to be your guide? Is it going to be the marketing hype on the spec sheet? Or is it going to be the reality of how it feels to use it every single day? I think if you think about it, the smart choice is pretty clear.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.